Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your host with the most, Cruz Gaming, and welcome back to another monster review video. In this video, we'll be taking a look at all the dice magicians, explaining each individual skill one by one, giving you tips on where and how this monster can be useful for you, what builds and runes should you put on it, and much more. So stay tuned. Okay, so Luru's passive skill 70% damage increase if the amount on the dice is high. High is roughly around 7 and above. Also, the passive 70% attack reduction if the amount on the dice is low. So basically it's a win-win situation right here. Right? If it's high, you're gonna get a 70% increase in your attack power, and if you don't get a high number on the dice, which is 7 and above, you are going to decrease 70% of the enemy's attack. Perfect against Lucian. So second skill, Unlucky 7. Rolls the dice 2 times, attacking all enemies and stuns them for 1 turn if you get a total dice roll of 7 or more. However, if the total you get is less than 7, you give the enemies an attack speed reduction effect. Vio procs or gets another turn if you get the same number that you had previously. The first skill attacks the enemy 2 times. If the total of the 2 dices adds up to 4, you block heal. If the dices total adds up to 5, you defense break. If it adds up to 6, you put a glancing effect on the enemy. Gains another turn if you get the same number that you previously had. Okay, so the best build for this guy will be violent or fatal, attack, crit damage, attack. Next we have is the water attribute Reno. His third skill, Dice Madness. Roll the dice 4 times, attacking all enemies. The higher the dice amount, the greater the damage. If you get the same number as the previous roll, you ignore the enemy's defense. So as you can see straight up here, this is going to be a good attacker. Second skill, Dice Trick. Rolls the dice 2 times, attacks all enemies, blocks heal, defense breaks, and lands a glancing effect on the enemy. Additional effects will be granted as the total dice amount increases. So, perfect support type monster when it comes to dealing harmful effects on the enemy. Gains another turn if you get the same amount you had on the dice on the previous turn. The first skill attacks the enemy 2 times. If the total of the dice adds up to 4, you block heal. If it adds up to 5, you defense break. If it adds up to 6, you add a glancing effect on the enemy. Gains another turn if you get the same number which you had in the previous turn. Okay, best build you want to go with is a violent, revenge, or just go fatal, revenge, fatal, HP, or whatever, but the best build is going to be a violence and revenge build. Okay, next we have is the wind attribute Maurice. The passive skill description is messed up. This is what I think it means. Roll the dice 2 times at the start of each turn. If an ally monster dies in order to revive that dead ally, you need 2 of the same numbers on each die. For example, you need to get 1 on each dice to revive an ally, or get 2 on each dice to revive an ally, etc. The higher the set you get, the revived ally's HP will increase accordingly to what set you get on the dice. Next skill, Unlucky 7. Rolls the dice 2 times, attacking all the enemies and stuns them for 1 turn. If you get a total dice roll of 7 or more. However, if the total you get is less than 7, you will give the enemies an attack speed reduction effect. Vio procs or gains another turn if you get the same number as the previous turn. The first skill attacks the enemy 2 times. If the total of the 2 dice adds up to 4, you block heal, adds up to 5, you defense break, 6, you add a glancing effect on the enemy. These effects are randomly put on the enemy. Gains another turn if you get the same number as the previous turn. Best build for the wind attribute I think is the Swift or Vio build. Go with a speedy HP tank. You want him to be sustainable in battle. You want him to go first. You want him to be quick enough to get turns so that he can revive if you're going with Violent. If he's fast enough, he also works good. Note that he's not a reliable mounter to count on for the revives. Next we have is the light element Tablo. Resets enemy's attack bar to 0. Ignores immunity. Now this is a new skill that come to us as never ever put in this game, which ignores immunity. Right, so this is going to be a game changing monster right here. If you have him on really high speed, it'd work great against a Chloe team, Delphi team, etc. Great for Reno, Gilwa, all rounder. He's very good monster. Next skill, Unlucky 7. Rolls the dice 2 times, attacking all the enemies and stuns them for 1 turn. If you get a total dice roll of 7 or more. However, if the total you get is less than 7, you will give the enemies an attack speed reduction effect. Vio procs or gains another turn if you get the same number as the previous turn. The first skill attacks the enemy 2 times. If the total of the 2 dice adds up to 4, you block heal, adds up to 5, you defense break, 6, you add a glancing effect on the enemy. These effects are randomly put on the enemy. Gains another turn if you get the same number as the previous turn. Okay, so the best rune build is going to be a Swift, HP or Revenge. The main key build is going to be HP speed. It's highly important to get speed substats on this guy. You want to make him really fast, right? The whole goal is to just make him as fast as possible. This is a good, trustable monster that you can rely on in any aspect of Summoner's War. Next we have is the Dark Element Monty. Third skill, Destiny Dice. Basically, you can cap the enemy's HP to a lower amount on the dice. Whatever you roll, the HP ratio between you and the targeted enemy's HP will be capped to a low amount, similar to how destroyer runes work. Not the same, this is similar. Best used against tank type monsters. Note that this skill cannot be used against boss type monsters. Second skill we have is Dice Trick. Attacks the enemy, grants heal blocks, defense break, glancing hit to the enemy, will grant more effects as the total amount of the dice increases. First skill attacks the enemy 2 times if the total of the 2 dices add up to 4, 5 and 6. At 4 you will block heal, at 5 you will defense break, at 6 you will add a glancing effect on the enemy. Gains another turn if you get the same number as what you got in the previous turn. Know that the best rune build for this guy is going to be a Swift, or you can go with Vile Revenge or Swift Revenge. Swift HP, you can go with anything. Just make sure that your key build is speed, HP. Note that it's a good against anything that's tanky. Anything that's tanky, you name it, this guy is gonna take care of it.
Thanks for watching the video. If you made it until this point, like, share and subscribe, and until next time, peace out.